are people who don't actually want a Brexit, because this week's Brexit maneuvering comes 2 days after huge anti-Brexit marches in London. Organisers say 1 million people took to the streets calling for a second EU referendum. Now, if those numbers are accurate, it would be one of the largest protests in UK history. A separate petition to the UK Parliament asking for Britain to revoke Article 50 and remain in the EU has now passed 5 million signatures. Margaritis Skinas, the chief spokesman of the EU Commission, said that he saw the, quote, telling images of the march. But until he's heard otherwise, he's still expecting the UK to leave the EU. Now, if we look at those images, should the government be simply ignoring this, or should they be taking this into account? We heard from Philip Hammond, the Chancellor, saying that perhaps we should consider what these people are saying. What do you think?
Well, if 5 million people have signed a petition, it will be an extremely foolish party that ignores 5 million people.
So a second vote?
No, I'm not saying that that's what we should do, but you asked me whether we should hear this. Sure. Yes, we should take that into consideration.
Okay.
But we should also take into consideration the 17+ million votes of people who wanted to leave. When you say leave, you don't have any attachment. You leave.
But that is one interpretation, as we were talking about earlier, that
exactly.
is one interpretation of leaving.
So the problem here is that we haven't defined what we mean by leave. If you have a divorce, a couple divorces, and they move away, they share their children's time, their assets, they break up their house and they go to different houses, that's what I consider a divorce. Hey, great. But if you're sharing the same bedroom on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but other living somewhere else on...
Still, some people, this again, it's interpretation. But Jude, let's talk...
I think that actually, unintentionally, you're making the case for why a people's vote is so important.
Right.
Because the reality is, at the moment, that in 2016, people voted in a very kind of blind vote of remain or leave. It wasn't clear what leave in practice meant. There were many things which were promised on the campaign trail. Yeah. Lots of those haven't come to pass. And now it's right, just as MPs will now have their third vote on the withdrawal agreement,
vote, would that
why can't the people
staying?
Also... Well, personally, I would like to see a vote, the agreement put to a confirmatory vote of the country, which would be on the model of the Good Friday Agreement, as we saw with the Belfast Agreement in Northern Ireland. People got the chance to say, yes, I agree with the deal which has been negotiated, and we can go through the deal concretely, say exactly what has been negotiated, exactly what the ramifications would be of that, or no, I don't agree with that. You can't have unicorns on the ballot paper as we had in 2016. But I think that confirmatory vote is actually incredibly important for our democracy.
Last point, because we don't have much time.
Judith makes a part of what Judy just said, I agree with. Now, the level of knowledge about whether we should stay in the EU or leave the EU is at its height. When we did the referendum, I don't think...
So if you ask the people again, maybe the answer would be different.
When we did the referendum, I don't think anyone knew what the EU was. I spent 20 years trying to explain to my electorate what the EU is.
All right. On that note, let's leave it for that because we will be watching the UK and what happens in the next week, a crucial week indeed for Theresa May. But now,